would say it's as uncertain as the policy area. People are really nervous. You saw for the last several months in the JOLTS report that people aren't quitting, they're not leaving their job, and quite frankly, employers aren't laying off. So they're holding on. Even those employers that aren't adding jobs are really interested in retaining their talent.
So, it's interesting. I felt like it was a measured discussion we had, or a measured view in terms of the jobs market right now. So if you had to pick a word or two words to describe the U.S. labor market, how would you do it? A jump, because what we've seen is a jump in those working part-time for economic reasons up to an almost 4-year high. Like we went through some of these metrics.
Multiple jobs,
fewer workers on government payrolls. You and your team speak daily with all of those global leaders or leaders here in the United States. Is it becoming where companies are less likely to hire and maybe more likely to fire in the future?
Well, I think, the one thing that business wants, whether you're talking about regulation, whether you're talking about tariffs, whether you're talking about supply chain, is some kind of certainty. Business people are agnostic, I think, when it comes to what happens. They will deal with whatever happens. Just tell them what it is. So these past 2 weeks have been really destabilizing for business, particularly smaller employers who are reliant on, subcontracting or contracting with larger folks. They're not sure what to do. Should they, grab everything they can from Canada before the tariffs hit, or should they just relax? But one thing they are definitely not doing is hiring. They're not creating new jobs. And, I think if we see, in your previous segment, you were talking about consumer confidence. If consumers decide they want to stop spending, they've really been the engine of this economy for the last 8 months, in retail and hospitality. If they stop spending, I think we're going to see drastic numbers, as along with the trickle down effect of the federal clawbacks.
You did work in the Obama administration. I mentioned your former Assistant Secretary of Employment and Training in the Obama administration. So curious about your view on the employment picture in Washington, D.C., as Elon Musk and others do whatever they can do in some cases to decrease the number of people working for the federal government. How does that affect the economy in your view?
Oh, it's really going to have a disastrous effect. I mean, no one is for waste or fraud or abuse of taxpayer money. And those reductions, I mean, under President Reagan, under President Clinton, all those reduction attempts happened, but they were done surgically. They weren't done as Mr. Musk did, came out with a chainsaw. I mean, because all of these things have an impact. I'll give you just a quick example. There are lots of people outside of the defense industry who are government contractors, the IBMs of the world, the Deloittes, the KPMGs. Well, if their contracts are cut, of course they're going to cut staff. And that's not going to be inside the DC area. It's going to be all across the country. So we're going to start feeling that. And as your previous guest said, I mean, the bottom line is one of the reports, the establishment report ended February 5th, and the household report closed February 12th. So we haven't begun to see the impact of these cuts.
Speaking of impacts, there's a lot of things coming at the workforce potentially. You do focus, you and your organization, on the future of work, predictions about the future of work and the impact of artificial intelligence. What can you say with certainty about what will be the impact of AI longer term?
Yeah, I think like everybody else, WorkingNation is kind of a listen and learn in a listen and learn mode. Our CEO was just yesterday speaking at a conference in San Jose, California, not only talking about workforce issues, but listening to what people are saying. I think there's, we saw the announcement come out this morning about McDonald's going to use AI for different aspects of their work. Some that looks like it's going to make it safer and better for people. Others, like using AI for, drive-through windows, may take away jobs. So, I mean, I'm hopeful that people will do responsible implementation of AI, but it's here.
Yeah.
We all use AI as it is. It's not like something on the horizon.